Mr. Chairman, distinguished demographers, politicians, and health specialists sitting on the stage, Vice Minister from China, Mr. Chen Li, Minister from India, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad, Minister from Nigeria, Shamsuddin Usman, and Vice Minister from Gambia, Isatu DJ Saidi. Ladies and gentlemen, in this meeting of demographers and health specialists, I'm a little unusual. I happen to be primarily a planner and an economist who has been in the field of planning and finance for the last 50 years of this country. I believe my claim to be here this morning is to my personal inclination. In 1959, at the age of 25, I was a sub-district officer in this country, and I started advising people whom I came across that you must practice family planning. An elderly villager who became my friend, he told me once, for God's sake, don't talk about it. He said that, well, whatever attractions you may have, it's all spoiled when you advise people to go for family planning. That was Bangladesh in 1959. And I'm talking of a place which is now a district called Bagharhat, very close to the home of my colleague, Minister Ruhul Haq. 7 years later, I visited Bagharhat again, evaluating family planning programs which were undertaken by the government of Pakistan. And I was with the government of Pakistan in Karachi at that time. I found that at least one could talk about family planning, although condoms were used by young people to sort of blow balloons. That was Bangladesh in 1960s. Bangladesh government, the independent government of Bangladesh, when it was, I think, facing severe food crisis and all kinds of difficulties as a result of a devastating liberation war, it adopted a strong policy of population control. And there were very good reasons for it. It's a small country in size, 145,000 square kilometers, where we have, even at that time, something like 75 million people. And today, we have 150 million people. In density, no other country comes anywhere near us, except the city-states. India, which is the next dense country, has only half of our population per square kilometer. With limited land and also very scanty natural resources, the country had to think of population control. And miracles happened in this country. I was a student of Professor Kuznets in Harvard, and Professor Kuznets defined the various conditions which can bring about a demographic transition in a country. when in Bangladesh it began in the late 80s or early 90s. None of these conditions were there in this country. No, the per capita income was not there. No, the women were not that independent. No, the urban life was so small. No, there was education at a level of only 32% literate people. No condition was conducive to demographic transition. But I say, Bangladesh is a land of impossible attainments. It was driven to the wall, and it found its solution. Demographic transition began there. And in 1994, when this body was created, the Partners for Population and Development, Bangladesh was indeed on the march towards achieving its goal of reaching zero population growth rate, which I believe we shall achieve in the next 30 years. By 2040, not 2050, Bangladesh should have zero growth rate in this country, which will mean quite an achievement when you think that 40 years ago, the growth rate of population was almost close to 3%. Today, it's around 7. This is 2.3% today. Child mortality, which was 165, is about 31, or if you take under 5, it's about 46. This is impossible attainment for a country of the economic level of Bangladesh, having a per capita income in PPD terms only about $1,800 a year. Now, this has been made possible, as I said, because we are driven to the wall. And I shall tell you that in the beginning, the most important means by which we achieved this slowing of growth rate was permanent ligation, vasectomy, and things like that. This is not the case now. With injectables, with pills, and other sort of means, today the acceptance rate in this country is over 60%, and only about 30% of that is accounted for by permanent methods. So what happens actually in such operation is you devise your own strategies. And today, I'm very pleased that you have devoted this session to South-South cooperation. South-South cooperation is something that has been happening in a big way, although we adopted the TCDC program in 1978, and I had a role in it. I was the architect of that draft in 1978 in Buenos Aires. In the initial years, I must tell you, it was very difficult to have South-South cooperation because we did not believe in it. Over time, it has changed, and today, South-South cooperation is a very important element in the development theology of the world. And I think I would like to refer to one or two lessons of Bangladesh which might be of importance to many people. First of all, the management of health and population must be together. You can't isolate one from the other. In order to get the best results, you must improve primary health care and promote with it family planning. And that's exactly what we are doing. Number two, you have to reach the service from door to door. Professor Ruhul Haq has indicated to you how we have 12,000 clinics today in this country of about 4,500 unions, and we have workers reaching people to satisfy their demand. Most important of all, however, is commitment. Commitment may be in many ways. It doesn't have to be compulsory sort of provisions. It has to be the full commitment of the nation to the concept of population planning. And that is something which has been most important in Bangladesh's history. This commitment is displayed by every member of the community. You go to a village, the most illiterate farmer, he will tell you, yes, I can't bring new children because I can't maintain them. That's the level of commitment we have been able to cultivate in this country. I must at the same time, these are the three lessons that we should learn from here. I must at the same time say something else. It has its problems. Demographic transition means you are confronted by the problem of aging, which Mr. Chanley has pointed out to us. You have to meet demographic demand, the demand for family planning. You have problems of unmet demand, and there it's a question of mobilization of resources. Well, I forgot to mention another thing. The other important element, my fourth lesson, is the community must be imbibed with secular thinking. That's very essential for population planning. One must have the liberal attitude that we have in this country from, I think, for about at least 1,500 years. From the days of Palo dynasty in 750 AD, Bangladesh has been enjoying secular feelings. Bangladesh has been enjoying liberal thinking, and that has been highly productive in respect of for population planning, because it is conservative thoughts which stand in the way of population planning. Well, I have talked for quite a long while, and I should stop now. I also know that the heads of the delegations have to go to meet the Honourable Prime Minister. You will, of course, come across the dedicated commitment that I have spoken about that is required from each nation for it to move towards people's welfare. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and I wish this gathering great success in terms of what you can find and what you can agree on. We had, I think before closing, I should say that I have followed the first population conference of 1974 in Mexico City. It was difficult to reach an agreed draft in that conference. Then we had the Bucharest meeting in 1984, and limits to growth was quite an idea at that time, and there was some consensus on some of the steps for family planning. But then in Cairo in 1984, it changed. And the biggest change that happened is population planning was combined with development. And that's what we are following now. And in 2014, when we review the ICPD, I hope this meeting in Dhaka, this partnership, which was a partnership of only 10 people, now grown into one of 25, and possibly it will grow into one of 40 very shortly. This partnership will make its contribution to the ICPD 2014. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz. Jai Bangla. Jai Bangla. I have a small responsibility, and that is to declare that this conference is open. Thank you.